Yes, it's exactly 1:30 now, and welcome back. Welcome back. I hope everybody's still enjoying and learning. I'm learning a lot, and I'm still really enjoying it. And now, from 1:30 till 4 o'clock, exactly 30 minutes, we will be having women in air traffic control. So normally I hear air traffic controllers say that to the pilots that they fly, they may fly, but they control the sky. So I would love to know if that is true. Is that what they really say? No offense to the pilots. So our moderator will be Nyasha. Nyasha, can you please find out for us if that's really the case? So our guest speakers will be Kwenzekile and Ntando Yenkosi. So Nyasha, please find out for us. I would love to know.
Thank you, Kiliwe. I'm also interested in hearing that. Hi, Kwenzi.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Hi. Please welcome Kwenzekile Hlongwane. She's an aerodrome controller. She's an area procedural and radar controller. Oh my gosh, what an honor.
Hello, everybody. Can you guys hear and see me well?
Yes, we can see
Yes.
you.
Perfect. Hello, everybody.
Is Ntando Nkosi also here? Ntando?
Yes, I saw her pop in. Here she is.
Yes, I am. Hello.
Welcome. Oh, awesome. Oh my gosh. You know what, ladies? Today, you're under radar control. Alpha Lima Alpha. Oh, what a privilege. What an honor to have you amazing ladies. You're always keeping the pilots safe, and oh my gosh, wow. I'm going to start with Kwenzi. Is that okay? And then we'll come to Ntando, and I wonder if we can't, okay, all right. Okay, I'll just start with Kwenzi, then we'll come to you, Ntando, as well.
Okay.
All right, Kwenzi. Was this a childhood dream, becoming an air traffic controller, or it happened? How did it happen? How did you actually become an air traffic controller,
Okay.
Are you a first generation air traffic controller, or was your grandfather one? What happened? I love the uniform.
Generation air traffic controller in my family.
Mm-hmm.
And while listening to the stories that the ladies have been telling the whole morning, they sound very familiar. I finished matric, and unfortunately, my parents didn't have funds to take me to varsity. And a friend's mom said to me, "I know how good your marks are. Please just check for this bursary in the newspaper." And I then went to buy a newspaper and found this bursary for air traffic control. And I had no idea what air traffic control is.
Yes.
I remember sitting in my interview and being completely, dumbstruck by some of the questions, because I thought, I don't know this. And, it becomes a realization of how much exposure is not for all of us, because when I started in the company as a bursar, a lot of us didn't know what it was, but a lot of the, the dynamics were different, and you could tell that people were exposed differently to it versus us. People grew up with aircrafts in the household. They were used to flying, and we had never even stepped inside an aircraft before. And which is why I think in my bio, I said, this for me was a calling, and it found me, because I didn't know about it. And never in my wildest dreams when I was growing up did I even think of being an air traffic controller. And this is something that now blows my mind every single day when I think of what it is that I do on a daily basis. So, yeah.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. You know, every time we're flying, for example, if we fly to PE or even to OR, no, we can't fly to OR Tambo, but maybe Lanseria, and you guys are all there, all up, you know, you're giving instructions, you've got maybe 5 aircrafts, and it's just so, so, so amazing. Wow. And so you saw the advert, you applied, you went through the training. How long is this training?
Okay, so it's changed over the years, and I've just when I started, it was slightly shorter. It was more pressure packed, you know, but now they've just like extended the program. So initially what they are looking for is an 18-year-old South African citizen, minimum 18 years old, South African citizen, medically fit, and then you need to have grade 12 maths and English. And back then we did higher grade and standard grade. It was higher grade symbol D for Delta or standard grade C for Charlie. And then now it is, okay, Giliwe, I acknowledge. Now it's level 4 upwards.
Okay, okay.
And that's all that's required of you. You start with, so okay, first you go through psychometrics, medical exam, and vetting process. And that's once you are successful of those processes, then you start as a bursa. And the core content program is a 21-week course. Now, this is done at our aviation training academy, which sits in between the runways in Johannesburg at OR Tambo,
Nice.
exactly where our air traffic control tower is. It's right next door. That's where our academy is. And we do all the training in-house as air traffic and navigation services. We also do training for a lot of the African countries as well. So core content is 21 weeks. It's purely theory-based, where you would go through some of the modules are aerodrome physical, meteorology, aviation law, some of them that we do as well, like the pilots would also do, you know, we do flight planning, we do aircraft identification, we do ATM, CNS, you know, navigation and maps, the likes. And then once you have passed core content where minimum pass rate is 70%, you're only allowed to get below 70% twice. It is about 30 modules. And then if you can get between 50 and 70% only twice, but if you make it the third time, if you don't make it the third time, unfortunately, then you kicked off the program. Then you would go into one of the airports within the country. So you would be placed in an airport around the country and placed for on-the-job training instruction. This is where you would then apply, obviously, the theory that you've learned over the 21 weeks into practical. Right? And then you would go back to the college and do a course called ATS rating. It's called Air Traffic Services Rating. This would then deem you an Air Traffic Service Assistant. We now call them Air Traffic Service Officers, ATSOs in short. And you need to become an ATSO before you become an ATC. When you get back to the station that you have been put in, you then need to go through a validation process, which is training hours like we do as like pilots do. You do training hours, and after a certain amount of hours, you are signed out solo to work on your own.
Okay.
And then you would work for a minimum of 2 years before you would then be nominated to go on to the first control course. And in terms of lineage, the first one would be tower control or aerodrome control. So to answer that question, I think it was Giliwe, the question, it would take you minimum about 2 to 3 years to become a level 1 controller. That would be an ATCO 1, an aerodrome controller. And just like me, I went then, you would work as an aerodrome controller at another airport. You'd need to get your hours, be signed out after. Obviously, you would go to the college for a couple of months to become an ATC, go into the an airport, well, it's not a few hours, it's actually minimum 200 hours. And then be signed out solo, work for a few more years, go get nominated again to go up the ladder, and so forth and so forth. We have 3 levels of ATC. We have tower control, which is aerodrome control. We then have approach control.
Yes.
Ntando is definitely going to tell you guys about that, because Ntando is an aerodrome and tower controller. She works both sectors at the Cape Town International Airport. And then after approach control is area control, which is what I do. So, you know, I've gone through the ranks to reach at Code 3 level, yes.
Wow. Wow. And during the training, do you get paid a stipend, or when do you actually go on when do you start paying tax?
Okay, so initially when you're going through the core content phase and you're still called a bursa, right? You only become an employee once upon successful validation of your ATS rating, right? So only then do you start getting a salary. But once you're still on the bursa program, you get a stipend. I am not too sure. When I joined the company in 2008, it was 1,500 Rand a month, but the company would put you in a guest house or a hotel where they make sure that the only thing you're doing is studying. So they make sure you're getting 3 meals a day, you've got transport to and from school, and then your laundry is being done, everything from your bed being made. You know, they're just making sure that for the next 21 weeks, you can fully focus on your work, because it is quite intensive, you know, so, and I think that's great. So at least your stipend only works for, you know, your toiletries and the like.
Yes. No, that's a very good program. Wow. And I believe these 21 weeks are intense, hectic. Okay? I can imagine it must be very stressful, even after, you know. Did you have mentors? Who's been your support unit, really, you know, going through this? You don't even need stress during this time, eh? No negativity.
But you know, life happens. You'll be trying to focus on something and life will happen. You know, so when I joined the company in 2008, the course was 12 weeks. So every single week, twice a week, you were almost writing an exam. That is very intense. I think the 21 week has helped with that, you know, to give the students a little bit more time, a little bit more support. And I think that was the approach when they then extended the program. You know, the aim of this is not to lose people, it's to give people the adequate support in order to train ATCs. You know, the end goal is a successful ATC at the end of the day. And losing people just means we don't have enough ATCs in the country, and that's a lose for the company as well. So sorry, I think I lost your question.
Okay.
Mentors.
Your support unit
is available from the time that you join the company. I've had different mentors across the board, because as an ATCO 1, as a tower controller, I wanted my mentor to be someone who was a tower controller in terms of the discipline. But when I then moved into becoming an area controller, I wanted my mentor to be someone who was an area controller, because the best thing you can do is be able to relate to someone. And I wanted to relate to another Black female. So luckily for me, when I joined the company, the lady who I asked to be my mentor, then she worked at the Kruger International Airport, and she was a tower controller and approach procedural controller. So she mentored me for a long time. And by the time I finished tower control, or rather the tower course, she had moved on to becoming an area controller. Amazing. So she remained my mentor, because as soon as my next step happened, she was right there for me, you know, and I could identify to her because she's a lady. Her name is Noktula Sitebe. I don't know. I didn't even tell her that I would mention her, but she's a lady who grew up in Soweto. And for me, I could relate because I'm a girl from the township. I'm from Ekatlohong, which is in the east of Johannesburg. And finding someone in this industry And 13 years ago, there wasn't a lot of us, you know, and
Yes.
finding someone who understands your dynamics, understands where we come from, understands that, you know, you need to push yourself so much more, because the first time we were ever exposed to this is now. And it's so intense because the pressure is there. You know very well that you can't lose the opportunity, because it's literally your only option.
Yes, 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 yes. Wow, wow, wow. And so like on a typical day, okay, tell me about your busy day. Right now you're based with OR Tambo, eh?
I'm based at Johannesburg International. I
Okay,
love
now
what I do.
pre-COVID, what was a busy day?
Pre-COVID.
How long was
So,
the shift?
okay, so our shifts are 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours. And then we're working 1 hour on, 1 hour break, 1 hour on, 1 hour break. You guys know air traffic control falls in the top 5 most stressful jobs in the world.
Yes.
You know, you know, and just yesterday I had a very busy shift. And I actually, when I counted at some point, I was talking to 20 aircraft, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, and that was within a space of 20 minutes, because it'll get busy, it'll die down, it'll get busy, you know, it spells. And it's a lot. It really is a lot.
I can imagine. Wow.
It feels like that energy rush you get, like after drinking an energy drink or whatever. It's a high you actually want to keep going back to get.
You're like,
when it's
oh,
quiet, we're like, oh, why is it so quiet? You know?
I can imagine. During COVID must have been very stressful for you
It
guys.
was very stressful. And we all know across the aviation sector, we've taken a huge knock, you know, like, so it was somber for all of us in the aviation sector when COVID hit. It still is, because we still haven't gotten back on our feet in the aviation sector across the board. It's getting better, and I can't wait for it to become, and I pray, like, hopefully in the next 2 years, we'll go back to pre-COVID days, and the numbers and the jobs, you know, yes.
And the different accents. Okay, how's that on the radio?
So luckily, we all comply to, obviously, aviation English levels, you know, and in ATC, you need a minimum level 4. And you get used to it. You know, now I can't even pick up, like, in the beginning, you would have to adjust and be like, I can't hear them. But now you like get used to it. When Air China comes in, you're like, he's reading back. I know he's reading back the clearance. I might not hear him, but I'm sure that's the clearance. It's definitely the clearance.
That's the correct
plate. You adjust to it. It's lots of fun. Yeah, no 2 days are the same. And that's my favorite thing about air traffic control, is that I'll be speaking to the very same scheduled aircraft every single day, but a difference in departure time in completely changes my picture from what it was yesterday. And that's why I love it. No 2 days are the same.
Wow. What advice would you give the 18-year-old you know, like, what would you tell her?
Me.
Yes.
So I definitely tell her to not be afraid. You know, as we get older, you realize that so many times, like, your biggest limit is yourself. You know, it's doubting yourself. It's thinking, I'm not sure, like, me, little old me from the township, it's impossible. You know, I'd say to myself, like, push even more, even more. If one door closes, make sure you break down the next one. And then we just never stop pushing. I can't wait to start mentoring young girls again, because I've always been into it from the very beginning. Started going to schools, and obviously with COVID, it slowed down, but I can't wait to go back to it. I can't wait to be, I'm an instructor as well in the aerodrome field. So I've instructed, I've given instruction, I've sent young girls and young boys solo, and nothing feels better than being able to sign out someone, you know. And it's, you know, the passion, it's across the across the board. It's not just an ATC. I know when I watch pilots go solo, I'm like, look at they are
Yes,
so
yes.
happy, you know, to get their PPL. And it's like, that's what it is. It's fantastic to witness and to be a part of. And I can't wait to see more young girls and boys go solo. I can't wait.
Yes, yes, yes. That's where that would be nice, like you said, you know, going out there, because most of the times the people who actually need this, some of them can't afford data. They can't connect on Zoom, you know.
Yeah.
So it will be really nice post-COVID that you're able to, you know, share your passion, because it's oozing out as you're speaking. I can just
Actually,
I can tell.
I actually am going to this next Saturday that's coming up on the 2nd. I'm actually
Yes.
part of another aviation, but it's happening here in a township called Togoza. You know, we're going out and we're doing it, you know, we're going to try obviously comply to COVID regulations, which is very important. But like, I'm very excited to be out there in the field again. Because for me, like, that's when I grasp people. I want to see people. I want to talk to people. And I want people to relate to me because I relate to them. I'm from, my story and your story is exactly the same.
You can do it.
Nothing is different. You're going to succeed just like I did. I don't have anything special that all of us can do it. It's just hard work and it's focus.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be part of this. I was so excited about it. I was like, I can't wait.
Oh, same here. Oh, please may you give us your details in the chat section. I'm sure people want to follow your Instagram, and
I will definitely do that. I'm just a bit challenged when it comes to.
Or you can text me and I'll share with it.
Okay,
and I'll
perfect.
share it with them. All right, no problem. Miss
Thank you so
Tanda.
much.
Thank you. Miss Tanda. Tanda Nkosi.
Hi, sorry, I'm here.
Oh, under radar control here.
Yes, under radar control. Thank you guys for having me.
How's Cape Town today?
It's lovely. It's warm. It's very warm, which is very nice, but it's a bit windy. You know, the wind ruins everything.
Oh, do you enjoy watching the pilots coming down to land when it's so windy? Do you notice the funny landings now, or you guys are too busy?
I do not enjoy it, because then it means I need to think hard for a go around clearance, because if they don't land, then they go around and then I have to figure out what to do with them. So I want them to land all the time.
Wow. So tell us about you. Who is Ntando Nkosi and what is her role in air traffic control in Cape Town? What is she doing? Which airports has she worked in? You know, who is Ntando?
Okay. Originally from KZN, Northern KZN, Empangeni, and I joined ATNS 2013 in May. And I think my story is similar to Gwenzi's as well, in the sense that I also didn't know anything about air traffic control when I joined. I was actually working at a time for another company, but I was ready for change. I was ready for a challenge because I had been working there for quite some time, and I felt like I wasn't moving forward. I wasn't growing. So I saw the opportunity for something new, something to challenge myself. And a friend of mine actually that I worked with saw the ad on the newspaper, and they said, Dando, I think this is something you would want to do. I was like, what are you talking about? What is this? And then we searched the internet, and then she was like, yeah, you have good marks, apply and see. She actually applied on my behalf. So she said the following day, bring your matric certificates, we'll do it together. Even that same day, she called me at night. She was like, Ntando, don't forget your matric certificates. So I brought it in, we applied that same day. And then a few weeks later, I got called for psychometric test, interview, medical. And then here I am. It's so amazing looking back to think how it just so happened, but I'm happy. I do not regret at all.
Wow, that's awesome. Wow.
And then sorry.
You can go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say 20, like Wendy was explaining the process. My process was similar to hers as well. Core content, I did core, and then I've worked in 5 airports. I worked Lanseria as an ATO. I worked King Shaka International as an ATO. then I did my aerodrome course and came back and worked Bishu. It's a small airport in the Eastern Cape. I think it's about, yeah.
I'm in Port Alfred.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you know Bishu. Yes, I worked in Bishu for a few months, and then I went back to the ATA to do approach radar, approach procedural course. I completed that course, and then I went to work in Port Elizabeth. And then I worked for about a year, and now I'm in Cape Town. And speaking of Port Alfred, I went to Port Alfred back when I was still in PE to do a safety engagement, because you know how the primas are. So I was like, I needed to go to Port Alfred and have a one-on-one conversation about safety, about RT, about canceling search and rescue.
I understand.
Yes, okay. And then here now in Cape Town, I've recently qualified as an approach controller. I qualified tower 2 years ago, and then I started my approach training, but because of COVID, my training had to be stopped at the time. And then when traffic started to picking up towards the end of last year, I then again started training, and I validated 3 months ago now as an approach controller in Cape Town.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. And what's next? Is there a ceiling to this? What's the end? You become what? The airport manager, ATC manager, or?
Yes, there is an OIC, there is ATC manager, there is because we also have different pools. Like Wendy was explaining, she works for the area pool. She used to work in Cape Town as well. There's the area pool, so you would find a manager specifically for area, and then there would be a manager for tower, a manager for approach. Those are the other senior roles. Yeah.
Oh, and so that's like the ceiling for air traffic control.
Yeah, because there's ADCO 1, ADCO 2, and ADCO 3. And then I'm ADCO 3 now, and obviously those managerial positions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Wow. And tell me something, the female to male ratio, how is it now? Are numbers picking up? Is it better?
Yes. Like ATNS has done a really, really great job in trying to balance the two. It's really like you find a day where when we are really proud because you speak to clearance, there's a female. Also working clearance ground is a female, ground controller tower is a female controller, approach is a female controller, all the way to area is a female. So we have days when it's just like, no, there's just females and it's awesome. And the pilots or even other people are like, the tower is unmanned because there's no male in the tower, there's just females only, which is really great. And ATNS has come a long way to try and balance the numbers. It's really amazing.
Wow, that's really, really good. Ntando, what would you tell 18-year-old Ntando? What advice would you give her? How would you empower her?
I think I would say, firstly, to believe in yourself. I think we are in a time, or we live in a world where with social media and when everything going on, it's so easy to, how do I say it? It's so easy to feel discouraged because you look at the next person and it seems as if they are at the top already, but they don't show you their failures. They don't show you their setbacks that they've come across to be where they are. So I think the first thing would be to just listen to my heart and to believe in myself more and to be accountable as well. And I think, yeah, that's what I would say to myself, and to keep, like how I did, I quit my job. I know Wendy mentioned that when you join ATNS, you get paid. I also got paid like 1,500 in the beginning, and I had been employed permanently at the time, but I gave that up. I was just like, this is what I want to do. And I knew in my heart that this is what I wanted to do. And I wasn't thinking about money because I know it's human where you want to correlate your career to a financial gain. But at the same time, your job needs to be rewarding. It can be about money as well. So that's the other thing I would say, that don't choose a career based on, I don't know, on how much money you might get from it or how much money you might earn, it also needs to be in your heart. Because I don't think I would be able to do my job today if I didn't fall in love with the job. It's, yeah, I had to fall in love with the job to be successful at it.
Wow, wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. Oh, what an honor to have you on board. I hope we can actually do in-person, awareness campaigns and, get others involved. Let people know, that this opportunity exists. It's a career option which is open. And I think it's fun. I think it's, you don't feel tired in the morning when you wake up. You're like, I'm going to work.
And actually, yeah, I'm from a morning shift today. I worked a morning shift today, and that's why I couldn't attend the session in the morning because I was at work. So I finished my shift and then I quickly drove home to come and join you guys. I was really excited the whole day. Sadly, I missed other guests as well, other presentations.
Oh, no, thank you very much for joining us. Will you clear me now so I can depart?
Yes, to land.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Clear to land. Yes, Quincy.
Sorry, I have only just noticed that there's questions here that we were asked.
Really?
So if I may, Ntando, if you can also see some of them under the chats, can we just quickly answer them? I know it's 2 o'clock, we talk too much, but that's what we do.
Let's control the platform like you control the sky.
Yeah, so one of the questions is, I heard ATC is considered one of the most stressful jobs, yet your bio says you de-stress. Oh, okay. How do you maintain such calm? I'd like to answer that with the one that says, how do you prepare or get into the zone before work? Then Ntando, if you can maybe then just answer that, do you debrief given the stress levels?
Debrief.
CISM, that. Can you discuss that too? Debrief, because that's, you can just tell them a little bit about our CISM program, which we have. And then let me actually just open my video. The CISM program that we have, which is for debriefing. Ntando will just explain that briefly. And then maybe Ntando can talk if she's ever had anything that happened that needed her to have a debrief session. They happen quite often. They do happen a lot, and remember that our incidents don't necessarily lead to accidents, but incidents do happen.
Okay.
So I'll just talk about the de-stressing at the beginning. So ATC, very much like when you have a passion for it, for me, it's my de-stress. So if I'm having a very stressful day, I will not book off, because when I get to work, it's what I wrote on my bio, for the first time in my life, I can actually have control. It actually puts my mind at ease because there's a system in place to do certain things, and life doesn't work like that. So that's how I'm able to do so. I don't need to get into the zone before work because I'm excited. I really am excited. And as soon as I sit down and I grab my mic and I plug in, and the very first pilot says to me, "Thank you so much for the routing, ma'am. Thank you so much for helping me, ma'am." My day is made. And that's what I do in every.
That's awesome.
For some reason. So that's the reason. I don't need to get into the zone. Ntando will talk about the debriefing. We do a lot of debriefing. We do a lot of it. We have an entire program. Okay, thanks.
Yes, I will just touch on the debriefing in a sense that I'm sure with the presentation we've made, you guys understand maybe a little bit about how stressful it is. And sometimes it gets too stressful, which is something that we individually have to try to manage, but also the company has an entire program to assist where they can with managing the stress levels if we do have loss of separation. We call it a loss of separation. We'll work mostly with 1,000 feet. Not mostly, I'm just thinking about tower separation now. We work with 1,000 feet and 5 miles. If you do happen it's still, if you do happen to have less than that, I've had it before when I was still training in PE. I had an instructor with me, and it wasn't, I think I had 4.9 nautical miles between the two aircraft. We are supposed to have exactly 5 miles or more. So 4.9 is a loss of separation. So the program is, I think it's more about managing your emotions, and you're trying to find a way to get back to your level of controlling, because it can be really scary to think that I actually had those two aircraft that were close to each other. Like Wendy was saying, most of them don't lead to a serious accident, but we regard them as serious incidents, because then it means there is a potential to have a serious accident. So ATNS has programs, like I was saying, in my case, it was two scheduled traffic, and I had an instructor. I was new with my training. So when they do assist, they look at those factors as well. What, like how far, like what part of your training were you? How many hours did you have? Had you had enough sleep the day before? Was the roster scheduled in a manner that you're getting enough sleep? They look at your medical as well. They look at how things are at home. Were you having a trouble time at home? Did you receive a phone call during that moment that got you disturbed, or on that day that happened? And then we have, for every station, we have individuals that specifically deals with such instances. So if that happens and you are on position, we have people readily available to assist you at that time. And if you needed more, say, more debriefing or more professional help, then that's something that would follow after your shift. But during your shift, we have people that are readily available to take you off position, to sit you down, to analyze the situation, to try and calm you down. Because as you can imagine, it might be 4.9, which is a lot of space, a lot of kilometers apart, but also it puts you off, because it, like I said, there's a potential it could have been something much, much worse. So I think for every ATC, you wake up in the morning, you don't want to have an incident. Like, that's something you strive for. You want to sit there and be as safe as you can possibly be. But we are all humans, which is part of this, the debrief as well. They look at the human factor elements and see how they can try to assist you, and to see how they can try to get you mentally back to your state where you can again sit on position and be able to control aeroplanes.
Okay, wow, wow. I love the structure. It's detailed. I was actually thinking of I can't call it a favorite air crash, but yeah, the Miracle in the Hudson, I can only think about, I can only imagine what the controller was going through, when,
It's scary.
or you lose someone on the radar, and
Yeah. I think like something as small as losing comms for like 10 seconds. When you're trying to call somebody for like 10 seconds and they don't respond, you just like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? Like it's so instinctively that you are always making sure that whatever you do, you're keeping everybody safe. So you can imagine when you end up having a loss of separation that is 4.9, it breaks you apart. And it takes time for you to get back to a point where you're like, okay, this is my game. I'm at the top of my game again, and carry on with your work.
Wow. Ladies, you know what? I think we're going to have an ATC day. There's so much. I feel like we've had to dissect it into bits.
I know.
There's just so
yes.
much,
Yeah.
No,
We'll
we'll plan to have a proper ATC, just an ATC day.
Okay, that is my screen. There we go. I know we are conscious of the time, but my manager asked me to play this video for you guys. It's for Cape Town overview, the tower itself, the runway, and everything else that has to do with air traffic control. Enjoy. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
70 knots on transition and 250 at your destination.
We say 362 descent to 3,000 feet.
1,000 feet, QNH is 1014.
Well, 451, very good morning to you. Information, Mike descent to flood level 140.
Mark, complete descent 451.
Expressways 901, descent to 7,000 feet, QNH 1016. Heading 340, cleared ILS approach runway 0. Springbok 303, contact tower 118.1, come on.
Roger, Telecar. Taxi.
Altimeter 2, taxi Bravo Cat 2, hold runway 01,
Taxi Bravo to the Cat 2 hold. 101, copy number 5, Telecar. 702.
Good morning, Safi 140. Requesting push and start for legs, please.
F 140, unit number 4, 2 in the lane behind, stand by push and start. Safi 301, 01.
Push
400, wind is 36 degrees 10 knots, runway 01, clear for takeoff. Combi 100, fully from runway 019, come on.
Springbok 326 behind the landing, limit 330, short final 01, Charlie, runway 5, be ready to begin.
Bounty landing 330, runway 5, ready.
Springbok 326, wind is 300 degrees, 15 knots, runway 01, Charlie, clear for takeoff, straight flight.
Clear takeoff 0 Charlie, good day, Springbok 326.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Kiliwe, back to you.
I am amazed. I didn't know there was so much. And yes, Nyasha, we have to have an ATC day. Yes. And also, I like that you asked them about what advice they would give to themselves if they were 18. So since I'm 19, I'm taking the advice, about not being afraid, about believing in yourself, because I feel like, especially as a newbie, it's hard to believe in yourself. You don't know what you're doing. You're learning these things. It's new. So thank you very much for the advice and for your time. And we're going to have like a 5 minutes break because yes. So let's come back at 2:15 for Chatter Pilot. Our moderator will be Lati with our guest speaker as Khumoditse Kwele. Yes, just 5 minutes and see you.